Mud cascaded down hillsides right onto the freeway. Drivers stuck in rising water were rescued from their swamped cars, and several feet of snow blanketed the mountains. These storms battering the west coast also drenched Arizona, where a man and his young grandson were pulled from their Hummer after...
Says it will take all necessary measures to ensure the safety of people.
Human Rights Council to create an independent inquiry into alleged violations of the laws of war by all sides.
Times in the left arm, he bravely exited his vehicle and pursued the suspect. Near Cairo's pyramids on Thursday. Egypt's Interior Ministry says a group of youths fired fireworks and pellets at security.
Had a severe solar storm smack the Earth with a surprisingly big geomagnetic jolt on Tuesday, but no damage has been reported. The storm ranked a 4 on a scale of 5.
Another mystery of sorts, the whereabouts of Vladimir Putin. Just this morning, the Russian president made his first public appearance in nearly 2 weeks, but did he shed any light on where he's been?
Russia has kicked off.
Communities involved, and as a consequence, it'll be good for the country. The moment is now for us to make these changes. We have a great opportunity coming out of some great conflict and tragedy.
His family's home and take his mother away in handcuffs.
Had to talk him off under a bed last night.
Turner tells me she was at the protest early Thursday morning when the 2 officers were shot. She says after the gunfire, she ran to her car, which...
Walk through, look at the camera.
His face is recognized and he's allowed in.
Recognize my face, the light goes on, and I...
A new wave of heavy rain and flooding threatened millions along the East Coast. Hurricane Joaquin has strengthened to a Category 3 storm. It is
2.5 meters.
They were Christians.
You're going to see God in just about 1 second, and then he shot.
This is who we are. This is who we are. Not what.
Right in front of our noses.
One of the areas the Russians hit, north of Homs, where several factions
accused Russia of indiscriminately bombing the Syrian opposition.
Especially angry once again. He believes that students...
It happens on the streets of Chicago every day.
So significant to the United States efforts in that country?
Well, it's very significant.
The perilous journey across the sea to Greece. Some reports say, and this number is staggering, at least 34 bodies were...
Iran also unveiled its first secret missile facility in October. IRGC top commanders say Iran has numerous such sites.
Europe, here in the U.S. as well. What's the likelihood that China is going to continue to drag down the world's economy? I think this is the critical question of the year. China is, if not longer, before we know for certain.
The announcement came from North Korean state media, claiming that
as a risk, but the warning always comes with a caveat. Shocks are...
The roofs of some buildings collapsed in Nepal, and we're going to see.
Many of them, I interviewed many women, and they told me we have much more freedom in the Israeli prison than...
The UN report shows that...
And the Christians will be saved from this terrible wrath of God poured out upon mankind. It will be thrown the Antichrist and his false prophet, who deceived many by his satanic miracles, such as calling fire down from heaven in the sight of people. Then the king will say to the people on his right, "Come, you that are blessed by my Father. come and possess the kingdom which has been prepared for you ever since the creation of the world, and how terrible this judgment will be.
That empire was actually broken up, and the head of that empire was essentially beheaded, the caliph.
I find him fascinating. Adnan Oktar.
Adnan Oktar is the most published author in the entire Islamic world, a Turkish intellectual. He's got close to 300 books, wildly influential, very moderate for a Muslim, very, very popular.
Find out what happened on this edition of It's Supernatural.
Water. So I gave her a drink of water, and she handed me a New Testament in English. People he had taken it himself, and yet out of his eyes shone perfect love and trust.
A lot of buzz over the last few weeks about strange sounds being heard in the atmosphere.
And we start with some breaking news this hour. People in the Urals in Russia have seen burning objects raining down from the
obsession is now reaching new heights.
Based on their observations, the members of the Bulletin of the Atomic
with carcasses of mothers and calves.
How did wolves, hippopotamus were among the animals that escaped? Flooding in 90 years. Flash floods have brought Sochi.
Earthquake off America's coast.
Reason to be rattled in the East Bay tonight after more than a dozen.
I think it's bad now. That time clock.
Force somebody to violate their conscience and faith. I think most Americans believe that's wrong. And
this time around, the reason?
Aftershocks that have hit the area. According to the U.S. Tsunami Warning Center, sea levels tonight indicate that a tsunami was in fact generated by this very large.
It's unprecedented, really, to have so much in such a short period of time.
Shall what? Reel to and fro. What do you mean, reel? Let me tell you what's the meaning of reel. Reel is to move around in one place. Reel is to be rocked.
After the Pope announced his surprise resignation, the heavens over Rome opened. And
the air. So very, very shocking. One interesting fact of note is that the world is closely watching another meteor that's supposed to graze past the Earth later on this evening. That's the size of an Olympic-sized swimming pool. This is an unrelated
meteor that exploded in Russia. And now tonight's breaking news, a meteor streaking across
at Miami are collapsing.
Smashed by savage storms with hundreds of homes damaged.
We're getting 7 point something on the Richter scale almost on a weekly basis. I've never seen that before. I mean, yeah, we get one or two of these things.
Iran is back to the market after the implementation of its nuclear deal with the P5+1.
Exports market. There is quite low external demand from Asia or the US, so that private consumption in the core of the Eurozone is.
And global economic headwinds. Politics also dictates to business leaders, and certain states are putting pressure on others, he warned, hinting sanctions are politically motivated and Washington's pressuring reluctant NATO allies to do what it wants. Medvedev said.
President Mauricio Macri said this week his administration is aiming to boost employment through restructuring.
Firing randomly as he moves steadily and directly towards Putin.
Some witnesses had earlier complained that security forces were taking too long to act.
The army and the police came.
These are always situations which, as everybody here knows, have an ability, if not properly.
Madman who kills innocents in the name of God embraces the terrorist narrative.
We are at war with violent extremism.
We are at war with people who use their religion for purpose.
Only pope that was both born and died on the same day as the solar eclipse of the sun. It does, Melanie. I'm not going to get into this. There's wonderful YouTube videos out there and wonderful websites where you guys can go and research how the name Pope Francis. I don't know. Like I said, it's not biblical, but however, downright disturbing. And now, not our good works. You can do all the good works you.
Nation. 6 conversos accused of heresy were publicly burnt to death after a Catholic named Friar Alfonso de Ojeda first gave a grisly sermon to the mass.
So let me give you an example. So 23rd is a hero to many liberal Catholics for his Second Vatican Council of the early 1960s, which sought to open the church to a more modern era. On the other hand, Pope John Paul II, he's a hero to many conservative Catholics because of his enormous mass where these popes were canonized. They actually had 2 living popes there canonized. Concerning the times